Thank you all for coming. Is anyone here for the first time? Hare Krishna. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Many of you? Okay, very good. Okay, my name is Kesava. I'm the manager here at Hare Krishna Valley. This is our retreat center. It's our organic farm. It's our non-violent dairy. So it has many aspects to this project, which are here. Once a month we have an open day, which is today, and we invite the public to come and to share our way of life and our philosophy and our meal, all that together. So I'd just like to ask, does anyone have any questions they always wanted to ask a member of the Hare Krishna movement? You have our undivided attention. So if there's something you'd like to know about the meaning of life, the universe, everything, you can ask. Madam?
I was just going to ask actually about why you've got the particular hairdo.
Why I've got the particular hairdo?
Yeah, like what, is there any reason why in particular have the hairdo?
Any reason why we have this particular style like that? Mostly we can't, when we're shaving, we can't see behind our head. So most of us miss a bit, and then over the years it grows longer and then we realise that. So, yeah, it makes sense. The main reason is because we shave our heads. If you go to India, which is where we're from, that's where our tradition's from, that's where many of the spiritual traditions from, Buddhism and ourselves, the Hindu, different traditions in Hinduism, they all come from there. So many of the monks or the practitioners in those traditions, they shave their head. It's a sign of renunciation. So renouncing materialism, material world. Before I became a Hare Krishna devotee, I was a model. So I used to do modeling. So I had nice hair, you know, and in the mornings I used to spend, I don't know how much time, 20 minutes or more, doing our hair, just make sure it's just nice before we go out into the world. And then I became a Hare Krishna devotee, and then within a couple of days of joining, the day I moved into the temple, I said, I want to shave it off. They said, no, just calm down, just wait a little bit. And then after a few days they let me shave. And when I shaved off and the hair fell onto the ground, I felt like so much ego was being released. So much material identity. So we shaved it. I've been shaving my head now since then for many, many years. And we shave our head as a sign of renunciation and simplicity. It takes you off the bodily concept of life. Otherwise you get too absorbed in the body. The whole philosophy of the Hare Krishna movement is to understand the difference between the body and the soul. The body is just a vehicle which carries the soul, but who we actually are is the spirit, the soul. So in order to assist us in understanding our spiritual nature, we place less emphasis on the body. So it's a type of renunciation, that's why we do it. And it just simplifies life. You know, I don't have to get up in the morning and worry about how my hair looks. The amount of money I've saved on hairdressing bills for the last 28 years or so, it's like, it's a lot of money. Don't have to spend money on gel. The list goes on. It just has advantages. I go to the beach, I get out, just go, that's it, done. Simplicity. So it's actually, and I prefer it this way. I feel like the longest I'll grow my hair these days is about for a month, which means it gets about that long. And within a month I start feeling like, I just want it off again. So I just shave regularly, once a month. And then why do we keep the bit at the back? Because if you go to India once again, you'll see many people on the spiritual path and they shave their heads and they wear orange robes. So we all look similar. Buddhists, the Dalai Lama shaves, wears orange robes, we shave, we wear robes like that. So our tradition, we are technically we're called Vaishnavas or personalists. We believe God is a person. Whereas many of the other groups, they believe that God is not a person, he's an energy or just a light, or that there's nothing, which is called Shunyavad, means just nothingness. This is all an illusion And when you wake up from your illusion, you realize there's nothing. So that's their philosophy. So our philosophy is different. We believe there is something. There's another world, but it is a spiritual world. In Christianity, they call it heaven. We call it Vrindavan. So there is a place, and God is a person. So we renounce this world, but we keep one attachment to God being a person, not just an energy. So the others just shave everything. Just everything is energy and light. So our understanding is God is a blue cowherd boy. You see in all the pictures, you see Krishna. So that's our understanding. So when you're in India and you may see us, you'll see which tradition we're from. So these guys are the Mayavadis, they're called. It's like an impersonalistic tradition, or Buddhist. Or there's the Hare Krishnas. So it's kind of our uniform. And it's called a shika. Shika means a flag. So it kind of dangles around in the wind. Just so, you know, oh, there's the Hare Krishnas. Yeah, as we dance down the street, you see us like twirling. And it looks really cool. Maybe, yeah, maybe. According to your taste. A lot of people have this haircut now. Even the other day, where was it? Just a couple of days ago. Just trying to think where I've been in the last few days. Sometime this week. I can't remember. Yeah, my memory's not serving me. It was only in the last week. I was in Melbourne or Geelong or somewhere. We're walking down the street and the guy walked opposite me and he had exactly the same haircut. You know, like shaved and kind of, not shaved, but short and then big kind of thing coming off the back. And you know, he walked towards me, I walked to him, and he just looked at me and just kind of goes, I just said, but yeah, so yeah, it looks okay. Anything else you want to? Krishna? Okay, good question. Any other questions from the esteemed audience? Yes, sir.
Why do we ring the bell? Why is there a bell outside the temple rooms?
Why is there a bell outside the temple? Our culture comes from an ancient tradition that's thousands of years old. So these days you have a doorbell. It's polite when you enter someone's house, you press the bell like that. So in the old days they didn't have electricity. So there was no bell. So you just, as you enter the temple, you would ring, bing. So it's just politeness. I'm coming now into your temple, into the temple of God or the house of God, of Krishna. So we're going in there. So it's just a sign of respect. A lot of people ring it as they're going out. It's kind of like ringing someone's doorbell when you're leaving. Go with bing, I'm going now. So just to let, it's not necessary, because you'll see people doing it. You go to the temple, you see people doing it, so not necessary. So better not to be done like that. A lot of people do it though. That's the way the world is these days. Any other questions? Yes, madam.
What is the goal of life?
What is the goal of life? Okay. Has everyone got a few weeks to...
In short.
In short. Okay. The 5-minute version. What is the goal of life? Okay. It's a deep question. The goal of life, according to the ancient teachings of India, which we call the Vedas, the Vedic scriptures of India, which we follow in our tradition. The goal of life is to understand oneself and to understand God or Krishna. That is the goal of life. So we have to understand who we are. Now if I ask you, who are you? What will you say? I'm asking all of you. Who are you? What will you say? I can't hear.
The spirit soul, they're not spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna.
A spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. Okay, so that's your answer. Does anyone else have an alternative answer or another answer? Who are you? I'm asking you. Who are you? You're Karen?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you're Karen? Okay. Any other answers?
I'm a mother.
You're a mother? Okay. Good. Any other answers?
I'm Australian or?
I'm Australian.
I'm male.
I'm male. Very good.
I'm employed. I'm a doctor, engineer. I'm 6 foot tall.
Yeah, you're a doctor, you're an engineer, you're 6 foot tall. Yeah. Any other answers?
I'm a human being.
You're a human being? Yeah. Nice. Any other answers? What is that?
I'm a woman.
You're a woman? Yeah. Okay, good. Anything else? Who are you? Well, there's so many answers you can give. Who am I? But who are we actually? That's the point. Because many of the answers were in relationship to the body. So when you relate to the body, that is a temporary designation. You can say I'm a woman or a man, that is temporary. You've been woman in this lifetime, but maybe 50 years ago in your previous life, you're a man. So these days people, they get so worked up on women's rights. But 50 years ago, you're getting worked up on men's rights. And vice versa. These days all the men get worked up on, oh, I'm a man, we've got to do our men's thing. But 50 years ago you're wearing a skirt. So it's temporary. So this is called upadi. Upadi means temporary designation. You say, I am this, I am that, but it's all temporary. I'm a doctor, that's temporary. In this lifetime you're a doctor. In last lifetime you're a fisherman. So it's temporary. Even someone said they're a human being, that's temporary as well. Previous life you may have been an elephant. So it's all different. Someone says I'm a mother. Okay, that's true, you're a mother in this lifetime, but your last lifetime you're a father. So what is true? All these things are temporary designations. So to say that we are this or we are that, we have to understand who we actually are. According to the Vedic scriptures, it describes that we are Atma. Atma means we are spirit, we are soul. That is the correct understanding of who we actually are. Who am I? I am Jivatma. I am Aham Brahmasmi. Brahma or Brahmasmi means spirit. Aham means I. So I am spirit. That's the correct answer. So if I say, who are you? The correct answer would be, I am spirit. Okay. Now the second question is, so if I'm spirit, what am I created for? What do I do? What does a spirit do? What is his occupation? Can anyone help us with this answer? So if we are spirit, then what are we meant to do? What is our vocation? Anyone?
Service.
Bueller? Anyone?
Serve God.
To serve God, okay. That's one answer. Any other? Keep the body alive? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, it's helpful keeping the body alive. Yeah, that's good. Any other?
To be happy.
To be happy? Very good.
I'm nameless, I'm formless. I could read everywhere.
You're nameless and you're formless?
Yeah, tasteless.
And you're tasteless?
Pervade everywhere.
What was that?
Pervading everywhere.
You pervade everywhere. You're everywhere simultaneously. Are you?
No, the spirit.
The spirit
Yeah.
is everywhere simultaneously? Are you everywhere right now?
I'm not spirit. I'm conditioned soul, so.
Okay. Yeah. So you're talking about in the liberated situation. So if we understand we are spirit, then what is our occupation? The occupation of the spirit is seva. Seva in English means service. Yeah, we're meant to serve. That is our occupation. Now, at this point in time, who do we serve? Where do we put our energy into? Who do we try to make happy? Quite often it's all related to the body. I try to make my body happy and other bodies happy according to my upadi or my designation, temporary designation. So people fight wars. And just like when I was a kid, we're growing up, every night we turn on the news, and I remember when I was a kid, the first story on the news every night was the fight between Iraq and Iran. I don't know what it is now. I don't have a television, but you turn it on now, it's probably the first story is a fight between whoever's fighting these days. So, what was Iraq and what was Iran? Right? It's just a line on the ground which doesn't even exist. And everyone said everyone who's born on that side of the line is Iraqi, and everyone who's born on that side of the line is Iranian. And they would fight each other to the death. based on an upadi, just a bodily misconception. But that is not who we actually are. We're actually the soul, and we're actually spiritual. We're meant to serve. And who are we meant to serve? Ultimately, we're meant to serve our Creator, Krishna, God. And when you serve Krishna, then you feel immense happiness within the soul. And then if you relate to other souls on that platform, just like before we're all chanting, hands up if you enjoyed the chanting. Okay, everyone, that's good, that's good. So yeah, I was enjoying the chanting as well, it was very pleasurable. So we're all chanting together, and we all got onto the platform of the soul. So we stop seeing each other according to our bodily identification, and we start relating to each other on the spiritual platform. And when you relate to each other on the spiritual platform, all the animosity and all the friction, it goes away. So that is the goal of life. The goal of life is to understand who I am, who I actually am, and what is my relationship with Krishna, and what is my relationship to everyone else. We're all individual souls. We're brothers and sisters on the spiritual platform. And we're meant to love each other from the spiritual platform. So that's the short answer. Would you like to add anything to it?
I can think about these things.
You can think about it. Okay. We'll come back next month. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Any other question? I'll cover what we discussed. Yes, madam.
When you choose to serve the God, Krishna, how do you do that?
How do you practically serve Krishna, serve God? Different ways, many ways. Krishna is a person. So because he's a person, it's just like serving any other person. How do you make someone happy? You give them what they like. So one way to serve him, which is very important, if you look at each one of us on a daily basis, what's the most important function of our day? Or what's the most important element of our day? Or what's the most important thing that we do each day?
Eating,
What was that? Eating.
breathing,
Sleeping.
breathing.
Yeah, all these things. Yeah, probably, I mean, we could answer differently. Probably the most important thing we do is eat. Because if you stop doing that, what happens? Big problem. Big problem in Little China. Right? You'll have a problem. So the most important part of life is actually eating. And if you look at all the ancient cultures of the world, it was all about eating. You get up in the morning, start making breakfast. You had to grind the wheat. You had to, in India you see the ladies, they get up in the villages, they start grinding the dals, grinding the wheats. Takes an hour, cook the breakfast, feed everyone, clean up. Oh, time to get lunch together. Start making lunch, like that. So people say, oh, that's a primitive life. Now we're much more sophisticated. We just drive our car through a drive-in, you press a button, the person says, what would you like? What is your order? Right? You say, oh, I want some processed food. They say, what flavour would you like? What artificial flavour would you like? So, strawberry. And then you get you can drive the car, they give it to you, give a couple of dollars, drive out, and then eat something that makes you sick. Right? So we'd say, oh, we're so much more advanced now. We've got so much more time to do things. What a primitive way of life. We're actually grinding our grains. How horrible. The point was everyone was happy, and everyone was peaceful, and everyone was healthy. But these days, it's a little bit different. So Krishna, God, he also likes to eat. So a way to show your love for him is you cook for him. So this weekend, you were here for the weekend, so you had some Hare Krishna food. Was it okay?
It was delicious.
It was delicious. Okay. So we cooked this nice food for Krishna, and then, before we eat it, to show our love for him, or our service to him, first we offer it to him. So that's what Atoya is doing now. Behind the altar, we have pictures of Krishna, and then we have on the altar, we have the food, which we've cooked for lunch, and then we're offering it to him as a sign of love and devotion. So that's a simple way of showing how you can serve God, serve Krishna. Because he's a person, he likes to eat as well. Right? And if he's happy, he will accept it, he will eat it, he will taste it, and then it becomes blessed by him. And then in Sanskrit we call that prasad, spiritual food. And then it has special potency. It becomes spiritualized. Has anyone experienced that Hare Krishna food is special? Is anyone a Hare Krishna food addict? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's okay. This club's a good club. I'm an addict. Like I walked in the temple like 1989, sat down on the floor with all the Hare Krishnas. They fed me lunch, and then they said, "You want some more?" And I said, "Yeah." So they gave me some more. They said, "You want some more?" I said, "Yeah." So I had three plates, and then at the end they gave me sweets. It was camphor sweet rice. I don't know if you ever had that in your life. Okay, you haven't lived then. It's amazing, this stuff. I can still remember the taste now. You know, all those years ago, I still remember the taste. So they gave me that taste, and then I was just like, "Wow, what is this?" And I said, "Can I move in?" And they said, "Well, you just walked in here, we've never met you before." And I said, "Well, I'm going to come here every day, so you might as well let me move in." And I convinced them. I moved in within about 3 or 4 days. So it wasn't just for the food, but the food was as good as everything else I experienced. The people were wonderful, the philosophy was deep and meaningful and answered my questions, and the food was delicious. So the food which is offered to Krishna, because it's blessed by God, blessed by Krishna, it takes on a spiritual potency. And then people are very attached to the Hare Krishna food. Just like we do catering all the time. We go to festivals, music festivals and cultural festivals, and every time that we do a festival, people come up to me and say, "I've been waiting 1 year for this cauliflower pakora. I mean, wait 1 year." And I always say, "You don't have to wait a year, just come down the farm. We do this every day. We do it once a month, we have an open day. You don't have to wait a year to come. You come get your fix." So this food is special, and it's been offered. So that's a simple way of showing. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, in the ancient teachings, Krishna says, whatever you do, whatever action you perform, whatever austerity, whatever you give away and offer in charity, do that as an offering to me. So many things we can do to serve Krishna. Just like these days, most people have to work. Most people have got jobs. So you work all week, and at the end of the week you get the phal. Phal means the fruit in ancient days. These days you get money, or you just get numbers in your bank account. You work like a dog, and at the end you just get numbers. Here's your numbers. Be happy. Okay. So then we all work, so we get money, and then you can offer some of that money to Krishna. You can give it to the farm. We can use it for the cows to maintain this temple, so that we can continue to give enlightenment to people. So that's a practical way you can do service, practically. Or you can move into the ashram, join the girls. There's some of these girls from the ashram. You go and live in the ashram. Right? Give up everything in the world. Put on your sari. I saw you dancing and chanting before you looked happy. So you can dance and chant with the girls down Swanston Street.
Can I bring my son?
In the ashram, there's a boys' ashram. You can see him every day. But there's different ways we can serve Krishna. There's different ways we can do it. So some people, they do it by working in society and then they give something like that. Or if you have time, you can come here to the farm. You can help us. We always need help. We have working bees. We do different things, so you can always help. You can read books at home. You can read these ancient teachings. I think they got some books. Yeah, so you can read the book. That's a way of serving Krishna. You could read anything. You could read the newspaper. There's not much in it. Or you could watch television, but we have many documentaries about Krishna also. Interesting things. And then the best way to serve Krishna is by chanting. Like we're doing before, we're chanting Hare Krishna. That's the best way to serve God, because you're calling out to Krishna, you're calling out to God. And he hears us. Like he's watching. Like before we were all chanting, he was watching. He said, "Well, those guys are they're calling on me. They're remembering me. They're connecting to me." So he is pleased when we do the chanting. And we feel happy because we're connected to him. So the best thing we can do actually is chant. And actually he says, "Satato kirtayanto mam" in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, always chant. Satato means always. There's many things you can do to serve Krishna. Does that answer you?
Yes.
Would you like to add anything?
The chanting dance, even though I really enjoyed it, but it's very different than traditional approach to the religious, spiritual practices. Maybe can you elaborate on that? Many people might think these people are just having fun. There is nothing like there's a devotion to God or something. Does it make sense what I'm trying to say? And I enjoyed it, and like yesterday I was saying, it's really nice. It's based on love, enjoyment, happiness. Perhaps if you can explain that a little bit more.
Yeah. In other words, is it just in our mind? Are we just imagining all of this? Is that what you're asking, like that?
Like it's very different than other religious practices.
Yeah. You don't usually go to the church and they all dance and chant.
Yeah.
Usually everyone's like
dancing and singing.
The chanting is in every religion, I suppose, but this dancing.
Probably the ones we're the most similar to are the what do they call them in America? A lot of the Black American.
Gospel.
Oh yeah, gospel. Yeah, we're probably most similar to them because they all get up and they all sing, you know. Jesus. Oh. Jesus. You know, it's like, yeah, it's kind of similar, you know. So, you know, if I was going to go to, you know, the Christianity, yeah, I'd probably go with those guys. Yeah, I'd probably go to Alabama or somewhere and you know, fly in and go down to the church and say, yeah, Jesus. I can relate to that because I think what it encapsulates is that if someone actually is close to Krishna, close to God, actually, you will feel blissful. You know, if you're not feeling blissful and deeply happy, like almost like ecstatically happy, then maybe we're not so close. So I think that if someone is like that, dancing and chanting will be a natural emotive response to that feeling. So it's not artificial. It's not that we, you know, like the Hare Krishnas, we don't like, you know, we're in the temple and we'll go, okay, we're going to go and dance and chant now. Okay, everyone get enthusiastic. Are you ready? Go on, everyone like get ready. Like, it's not like, you know, we make some psychological adjustment. Then we get out and we're all like, oh, you know. Then we go back to the temple and we're all like, you know, kind of deep and, you know, so it just naturally takes place. So it's just a natural way of celebrating or emoting our feelings towards Krishna, towards God. And in the spiritual world where we come from, where Krishna lives, the other world, the better place, it says there it's a constant festival. And they're dancing and chanting in the forest all the time. What we do down here, we just get together once in a while and do it, but it's up there, it's like it's almost continuous. You see in a lot of the pictures, they're doing it, they're all dancing and they're all chanting. And big forest parties. Krishna started the whole thing. These days we have raves, you know, people go out into the forest and they all play their music and they do it, but Krishna was doing it forever in the spiritual world. So, when one feels like that, one will just naturally begin to, you know, practice like that. You'll feel to dance and to chant, it's not unnatural. You know? But the point is it's coming from the heart. So if you feel like that, you may feel like anyone. So it's different for everyone. Like some people, they just feel they want to just sit and just meditate and chant quietly and like that. So it's an individual experience because it's our relationship with Krishna. So there's no right or wrong. But if you feel like that, if you feel, you know, like connecting to Krishna, like get dancing and chanting, then yes, it does make you feel very happy. It makes the soul feel light when you dance. That's why people dance. But most people have to drink at least 5 glasses of something to become unself-conscious so they can do it. Whereas the Hare Krishnas, we just go out in the street and we just, you know, we don't care. We just go down Burke Street and we dance and chant and, you know. But it's not artificial and it's not material. It's not just an adjustment of the mind. It's coming from the spiritual platform. So some people, they just like to be quiet and just chant quietly, and that's for them. That's how they like to connect to God. There's no right or wrong. And some of us like to, you know, dance and chant down the street. Before I became a Hare Krishna, I was studying acting. So I was starting to become an actor. And when I became a Hare Krishna, I started dancing up and down the streets of Melbourne. I'd see my old friends and they'd be like, oh, there he is, you know. We knew you'd do something like that, you know. You're just frustrated, like a frustrated actor, you know. And my grandmother, she said when I joined, she said, yeah, you're just a frustrated actor. You know, you'll do this for a couple of years and then you'll do something else. But now I'm still doing it after all these years, and you know, she realizes that it's probably not going to change at this point. Does that answer what you?
Yes.
No. Anything else you would like to?
If I may,
You may, yes.
not a question, but I was very pleased with your answer. Because like I said, you were taught to take religion in such a serious way. This is really refreshing. Also, there's such a misconception about these Hare Krishna people dancing on the street. You said they don't need to have any drink or anything, but many people actually think they are on high. They feel like they might be taking something. I'm sorry if I'm being so wrong, but many people think, don't worry about that, they are on high. They must be on drugs or something. So maybe Hare Krishna community needs to explain themselves to the world that no, you don't use drugs or alcohol.
We do explain that pretty clearly. We do tell, but I mean, everyone knows we don't do those things. So there's a philosophy. Yeah, there's a philosophy called in the Vedas. It's called Atmavan Manyate Jagat. So it means, as I think, so you also think, or so the world thinks, or so everyone thinks. So if we are thinking in a particular way, we think, oh, everyone must think like that, because that's how I think. So people out there in society, they can't get to the level of feeling the way we're feeling without taking some drinking or something. And even then they're not feeling exactly what we're feeling. So then they think, well, if they're doing it, you know, I couldn't do it unless I had at least a bottle of whiskey or something. Then I'll go and dance and chant anywhere. So then they think, oh, they must be taking something. Right. But that's their limitation. That's not our limitation.
I was going to say, she's not alone. I thought you guys were stoners too. So
Sorry?
I thought you guys were stoners too. So I think it is a bit of a common belief that, that you guys smoke dope or something.
In the 70s, they thought it was the turmeric. Because it was new to the West. They didn't really know turmeric so well. They thought it was the turmeric that made it.
I think it's a slightly hippie look, so people feel, you know. Yeah. But one thing I wanted to ask you as well is, I don't understand the separation of men and women a bit, isn't it? Like the dancing, actually the men separated a lot. The men and women sleep in different places. Why do you do that?
Why do we do that?
Yeah.
A part of it is cultural. If you look at all the ancient cultures of the world, you'll see traditionally there was segregation between men and women. So in our culture, which is Indian-based, it's there. There's a cultural divide between men and women in public places, in places of worship. Men and women will always be separate. But if you look all through Europe, you go back 100 or 200 years in Europe, you look at all the ancient cultures, it's there. If you go to South America, it's still there. Even in the Aboriginal, the very tribes from Australia, the men and women, quite often in the Aboriginal communities, they would live separately. I mean, they would commune separately. I mean, they're always together, but the men would be men and women. So it's a traditional thing. So within our movement, you know, in the modern context, we don't, a lot of the time, like, you know, I'm with the women in terms of doing our service during the day, we do things together. It's not like there's so much divide, but within our movement, we have ashram members, people who live in ashrams, which I did when I was younger. Like these girls, some of these girls live in the ashrams in Melbourne. So when you commit yourself to that kind of life, you don't mix with the opposite sex very much, because it helps you focus on your spirituality. So I suppose because there's an element of that within our society, we have to respect a certain part of our society practices like that. So the rest of us also keep the men and women somewhat separate because it wouldn't make them feel comfortable. You know, we're all dancing and the women are dancing and the men are dancing, and then because there needs to be a bit of a segregation there. In terms of philosophically, from the ancient teachings, it says men are like butter and women are like fire. So that pretty much answers the whole situation. You put the men too close to the women, they all melt. That's the fact. You know, and you're in the temple of God or in the church, you know, and you have a beautiful girl sitting next to you, you know, and the guy is speaking up the front, and you're just kind of like, you know. You know, it's like that. So it's distracting. You know, so traditionally there was some segregation there to aid you or assist you in not being distracted, so you can focus more on the ultimate goal.
But once you're married, it's fine.
Like I said, for me, you know, we live here on the farm. We're not in the ashram. You know, I've passed that phase of my life, so I can be around the women a lot. You know, quite often it'll just be me and, you know, some women, and we'll be doing some service for Krishna. And it doesn't really bother me. But because there's a certain, you know, especially when we go to the temple of Melbourne, there's like, down here there's only, you know, a smaller number. But you go up there and there'll be hundreds of people there. We'll just keep it separate most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, especially in the temple itself, just for those who are practicing that part of the tradition, then it just assists them. It's just a cultural thing.
Do you believe in, you know, women having certain roles and men having certain roles, or you know, like, is it sort of, when you're talking about traditionally, you know, there's the stereotypical roles of men and women. Can a woman sit in your place, for instance?
Yeah.
Today? Is that?
Yeah. I mean, the world's changed a lot in recent years, and there's far more equality of the genders in the modern society. Whether that's right or wrong, it's historical. It's really just a historical feature of the world these days. Men and women just interrelate very freely. You go back 100 years, 200 years, 500 years, all around the world, historically, that was just not it wasn't an element which was culturally accepted within society. Now it is, it's just what takes place. It's just a historical thing. And there's advantages and disadvantages to both, as far as I can see. So in the modern world, we don't have many distinctions between what the women and the men can do in our movement. Pretty much whatever I can do, the women can do, and vice versa. Because that's the way the world is these days. So. And Prabhupada, who was the founder of our movement, the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, when he brought it to the West in 1965, he made many adjustments when he first came. So when he first came to America in 1965, there was no such thing as a women's ashram. If you go in India, there's no women's ashrams. I mean, there's a few now, but traditionally it's not there. Men would go into ashrams, but women would just stay at home with the family. So as soon as he got to America, one of the first things he began was a women's ashram. So he made adjustments from the very beginning, because as soon as he arrived in America, so it's very different here. So he had to culturally kind of adjust to the time and the place. So he was very, he had very deep foresight into the way the world is like that. So we have to adjust according to it. Okay. Any other questions? Or yes, ma'am.
With the first question, when you were explaining that for men to shave the hair means like renunciation, so what will be the thing related for women?
What do the women do if they want to practice that level of?
You also renunciation as well, like knowing that the hair is pretty important part of the female body.
Yeah. Traditionally they put on white. They just wear white all the time. White sari, white dress, and they don't wear a lot of jewelry and don't wear makeup and things like that. So I think it's pretty close to being time for you to do that. So. Yeah. Or maybe next lifetime. But yeah, that's traditionally what they do. Traditionally, they simplify things. Sometimes if you go to Radhakund and Vrindavan and places like that, you'll see a lot of the elderly women who have renounced everything. Quite often they're widows. They go there to the holy place just to fully devote themselves to Krishna. And they just wear white like that. And they're very simple, no makeup, virtually no jewelry. And they live very simply, don't have a lot of material possessions. So basically, as time goes by and we become more spiritually focused on our path, we reduce our material necessities. That's a sign of advancement in spiritual life. We live more simply. So in the middle of life, as we're young and we have families, everything grows and we get more. But then as time goes by and you get older and more spiritually focused, then everything reduces again. So that's a sign of spiritual progress. You want to add anything else? Okay. Any other question? Didn't you guys have something about
Ganesh.
The deities, Ganesh, Shiva, and some of the other, where does that come into with your philosophy?
how does it all relate?
Yes, how does it all relate?
How does it all relate? Oh, you were asking that yesterday?
Yes, I did.
About the Hindu?
Yeah, but we didn't get to it.
Okay.
But the Hindu, yes, which I had, because they've got all the different deities of both actually.
Yeah. In Hinduism, there's so many different like that. Yeah, the word Hindu, just to put it historically, then Hinduism is a geographical description of the faith which takes place in the subcontinent of India. So when the Mughals, when the Muslims invaded India about 1500 years ago or so, then they came from the Middle East and they travelled down through Afghanistan, Pakistan, and then they entered into India to conquer India. And they ruled India for a period of time. So when they got to the Himalayas, there's a river just below the Himalaya called the Indus River. So when they got to that river, and then everything on the other side of that river, all the different deities and the religious faith and the practices and the temples, they called that, everything on that side, the Indus. So that's where the word Hindu came from. So it's not actually, it's not a Vedic name, or it's not a Sanskrit name, it's not an ancient teaching. It just describes everything in India. So these days when people say they're Hindu, there's no real definition of what they believe or what they practice or what they are. They just say, I'm Hindu. But if you ask them, what does that mean? They say, I believe in this God and that God and everything, and my bicycle and everything. Everything is God. You are God, I am God. Everything is God. We are God. So that's the philosophy which is there. So how does it fit into the Hare Krishna movement? The Hare Krishna movement, we're a part of Hinduism, technically. We're part of the Hindu tradition. But we're a monotheistic branch, which means monotheism means one God. Same as Judaism, Christianity, Islam, one supreme being. Like that, not many gods, but one supreme being. So we understand Krishna, God, the supreme entity, to be a blue cowherd boy. That's our understanding of his form. And these different gods, which are in the pantheon, in the various gods, Ganesh, Shiva, like that. It's like in the government you have a prime minister. So we have, in this country, we have Malcolm Turnbull, so he's the prime minister, and then there's cabinet ministers who take care of different departments. So Ganesh, Shiva, all these different personalities, they're the assistants of the supreme being. And they assist him in running the universe or running the government like that. But they don't have supreme power. So it means there's a proper understanding of how everyone relates together. These days there's not a proper understanding, and then they just say, because they don't understand, they just say everything is one. It is all one. We are all one, like that. But there's no evidence of that philosophy from the ancient teachings themselves. The ancient teachings are very clear how they demarcate everyone and how everyone relates to everyone else. It's like you go into the Parliament House and then you say to the Prime Minister, you start addressing him like he's the treasurer or the you know, or a minister of arts or something like that, he'd be a little offended, like, you know, don't you understand who I am and my power? So you need to have proper understanding. So, does that answer what you want? Okay. Anything further you'd like to? Good. Any other question? Everyone has attained enlightenment? Many of you look like you've attained enlightenment, so everyone's very, very hungry. And they're thinking, I hope he stops talking soon because I really want to have some of that. I really want some dessert. Anything else? Anyone has anything you'd like to ask? Okay, good. So we have some events coming up here at Hare Krishna Valley in the next couple of months. On April the 9th, we have our Holy Festival, which means the Festival of Colours. You know, the festival where everyone throw the powders all over the air. So just down the road here in Winchelsea, in a place called Barwon Mansion, beautiful old 150-year-old mansion, we're going to have a big festival there, which we've been doing for the last 3 years. So you're all invited to come and participate in the festival. We also need a bit of help in running the festival, so if anyone would like to volunteer, come and let me know or send me an email or something, or contact me, please, because we need some help to organise the festival. Also in April, we also have a very nice vegan, vegetarian cooking retreat, which we're putting on here, a yoga retreat also. And next month we have another yoga retreat in March also. So you look at our website, you can find all these things. And we have regular working bees here. And we have this Sunday program once a month. And we're always here. So if you'd like to come and join us at any time, then please be in contact. Consider this place your home. We are your family. I know we look a little strange and we have funny names, but we're actually quite nice people. And we'd like you to come and you can join us anytime here. So please come again. Thank you very much. If anyone's hungry, please go to the next room and you can have something to eat. If you're not hungry, we'll see you next time. Thank you for coming. Hare Krishna.